Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet Nashtaprayeshva Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Granthrat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Word to word synonyms, translations and purport by Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome. Who would like to start your realizations? And others can join in, please. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We are in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verse 13. Nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness. Thank you, His Grace Amrish Prabhuji. Thank you, Her Grace Purnapanda Devidasi Mataji, and His Grace Krishna Samapran Krishna Das Prabhu for giving us an opportunity to give our realization. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verse 13. Jneyam yattat pravakshami yajnato amrutam ashnute anadimat param brahma na sattan asat uchyate. Jneyam yattat pravakshami yaj jnatva amrutam ashnute anadimat param brahma na sattan asat uchyate. Jneyam yattat pravakshami yaj jnatva amrutam ashnute anadimat param brahma na sattan na sat uchyate. Nayam, knowable. Yat, that. Tat, which. Prakshami, I shall now explain. Yat, which. Jnatva, knowing. Amrutam, nectar. Ashnute, taste. Anadi, beginningless. Matparam, subordinate to me. Brahma, spirit. Na, neither. Sat, cause. Tat, that. Na, nor. Asat, effect. Uchyate is called. Knowable, that which I shall now explain. Which, knowing. Nectar, taste, beginningless. Subordinate to me. Spirit, neither. Cause, that. Nor. Effect is called. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing, which you will taste the eternal. This is beginningless and it is subordinate to me. It is called Brahman, the spirit, and it lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Purport. The Lord has explained the field of activities and the knower of the field. He has also explained the process of knowing and knower of the field of activities. Now he is explaining the knowable, both the soul and the supersoul respectively. By knowledge of the knower, both the soul and the supersoul, one can relish the nectar of life. As explained in the second chapter, the living entity is eternal. This is also confirmed here. There is no specific date at which the Jiva was born, nor can anyone trace out of the history of Jivatma's manifestation from the Supreme Lord. Therefore, it is beginningless. The Vedic literature confirms this. Na jayate murjayate va vipaschit. The knower of the body is never born and never dies, and he is full of knowledge. The Supreme Lord is also stated in the Vedic literature as Pradhan Kshetrajna Patir Guneshaha. The Supreme Lord, as the Super Soul, is the chief knower of the body, and he is the master of the three modes of material nature. In the Smriti, it is said, Dashabhuta Hare Eva Nana Yashvaiva Kadachana. The living entities are eternally in the service of the Supreme Lord. This is also confirmed by Lord Chaitanya in his teaching. Therefore, the description of Brahman mentioned in this verse is in relation to the individual soul. And when the word Brahman is applied to the living entity, it is to be understood that he is Vijnanam Brahma as opposed to Ananta Brahma. Ananta Brahma is the Supreme Brahman, personality of Godhead. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. So as Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the purport that in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse 20, Lord says that for the soul there is neither birth nor death or any time, at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport that it is the soul is not been created, is never had any beginning, and will never have an end. The creation and destruction are only for the body. So just like God is eternal, his parts, soul, are also eternal. It is soul is never born or nor dies. It's not produced by father, mother, or any material combination. The body is only born, not the soul. So even after the body is destroyed, the soul continues to exist. The soul simply moves from one body to another, and just like exchanging the clothes. God is inconceivable. Our tiny brain cannot fully understand him, but by devotion and service, he reveals himself. Lord is not near, he's not both, he's both near and far. For the materialistic, he seems far away, but for the devotees chanting his names, he is closer than closest, in the heart as super soul. He pervades everything as the Brahman and also personally stays in Goloka. Just like sun is far away, but his sun is present everywhere through the sunlight. So real knowledge is to understand that the Krishna is ultimate controller and enjoyer and pervading all existing. Maharaj, in one of the realization, I came across that Maharaj says that don't try to measure Krishna. What we do, our mistake is that we put Krishna in our small head. He cannot understood by logic. Lord only can understand by surrender. So we have to surrender, then only we can understand who is Lord. He's actually everywhere. When we cook, when you breathe, even when you speak, he's there. But for that you have to recognize. For the recognition, to understand that, one must surrender, read Srila Prabhupada's book, read Bhagavad Gita in association of the devotees, read Bhagavatam, then one will understand slowly, and chant sincerely, seriously. If we run away from him, Maharaj, in another melody, he says that if you run away from him, he seems far. If we chant sincerely, then he's never than our heartbeat. He's nearer than our heartbeat. So we have to understand that the Krishna is aloof from this world, but at the same time, fully present in each and every atom. So devotee must live with this awareness. We should understand that. And whenever we feel lonely, helpless, or weak, so just remember Krishna. Krishna is both in our heart, guiding us, and externally arranging everything. If we chant and remember Krishna sincerely, we will feel that Lord is very close in our daily life. But for that, one has to understand that. In one while reading, I came across with the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2, verse 35, where Srila Prabhupada says that the Lord is within every living entity as super soul and outside as cosmetic controller. But he is far away for one who does not want him and very near to one who remembers him. So Krishna is simultaneously in everyone's heart and beyond everything, like the sun in the sky is both far and near by his rays. So we should not feel that we are lonely or we are abandoned. Super soul is in our heart. He is guiding us 24/7. But for that, only one should understand that he is within our heart. He is guiding each and everything. But for that, one has to chant sincerely. Hare Krishna, this is my revelation.
The Krishna devotees. Thank you, His Grace Ambrish Prabhu, Her Grace Purnapana Devidasi Mataji, and His Grace Krishna Samarka Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for engaging us, and thank you for giving us opportunity to read and study and understand the scriptures. Today we're studying Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verse number 13. Geyam yattat pravakshami yajñātvāmritam ashnute anadimat param brahma na satan nasad uchyate kiyam yattat pravakshami yajñātvāmritam ashnute anadimat param brahma na satan nasad uchyate. Translate purport Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Now, this verse only Krishna can talk like this. Yeah, or maybe his pure devotees. Anadimat Param Brahma. Yeah, everything contradict to each other, or yeah, how to say, na sat tan nasat uchyate. So he is now giving that, starting to give that knowledge, which he's answering question to Arjuna. Translation is, I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So my first relation to this verse was, when I started studying this verse, that after giving the 19 elements of knowledge, that what is knowledge, means I could not understand why Krishna is giving knowledge and this is describing this knowledge and that knowledge. This is knowledge, and beyond this is all ignorance. So this is my stupidity. This is my weakness. So I have to basically go back to previous verses and try to understand the question and answer which are happening, so that I can understand the knowledge, in what context the knowledge is given by. I'm not talking about that knowledge is what is that knowledge. I'm talking about the background of giving that information, because Krishna will not give any information without any reason. So why is talking about knowledge between field of activities and knower and soul and super soul? No, I remember Amrish was saying early stage MBO, management by objective. So Krishna is also, so that's what got me going. And then I read those verses, and hopefully I make sense. If not, you can always correct me. In the first verse where this discussion start, after the devotional service, then Arjuna start asking this question. The question, first verse was, first and two. Arjuna said, "Oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and field and knower of the field, and knowledge and the object knowledge." So this is what Arjuna is asking. So nature, enjoyer, and field and knower of the field and knowledge. That is consciousness in a very broad term. And then Krishna says, the Supreme Personality God said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." So Krishna has started giving the information, and Arjuna has asked about the knowledge. Now, Krishna has in the verse 3 has already told what is knowledge, which I will repeat. "O Sien of Bharat, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies. And to understand his body and its knower is called knowledge." This is my opinion. So this is Krishna's words, that what is knowledge? To understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. And then he go to the field of activity. And then then he talks about what is field of activity, what the content, constituents, and all those elements and everything. And then he talks about this process of knowledge, all those 8 to 12. So then and Prabhupada in this 13th purport very clearly answered this question, which I did not read before because I am a stupid, number one. And Prabhupada says the Lord has explained the field of activities and knower of the field. He has also explained the process of knowing the knower of the field of activities. Now he begins to explain the knowable, first to soul and then to super soul. By knowledge of the knower, both the soul and the super soul, one can realize the nectar of life. So that's my relation. Means to get this knowledge, you have to have those 18, 19 qualities or the elements or those list which Krishna is giving there. Without those things, this knowledge cannot come about the field of activities. And if that knowledge comes, what happens? One can realize the nectar of life. And that's our nature. That's our nature, that we all like permanent situation. We don't want changes. We don't like anything which is temporary. That's our nature. And then what is if it is eternity or eternal thing, then this also we have discussed. We have the discussion before also about enjoying this nectar of life, right? When can release the nectar. So once we get that feeling of eternity, and I was talking to devotees that all material relationships are temporary. They have an age. After some time, those relationships change for whatever reason. But as soon as those relationships are on a spiritual basis, they don't lose taste, provided they are on the spiritual level. As soon as the material contamination comes, that relationship also changes. So that's the knowledge I was trying to understand, that what knowledge, why Krishna is giving so much information. And that verse I used to read that verse or study that verse in isolation. But Krishna is in the context of this knowledge. When he's giving the knowledge about this entire chapter, he's talking that these are the qualities. And we all understand why these qualities. Because without this quality, and to get those qualities, we have to become, we have to chant and devotional service, and that's what Krishna also saying in that verse. That was my realization from this, that the permanency, the eternity, yeah, that what we relish. And then Krishna describes that knower, the knower of the body is never born and never dies, and he is full of knowledge. So that is knower of the, we are the knower of our body. If we are not, we know that we are not this body, we are this soul. As soon as we are on the bodily platform, we are not knower. So spirit soul has the knowledge and is full of knowledge, but that knowledge is covered because of ignorance. All those things, because we are contaminated, we have got things to do. Yeah, we have got lots happening. We have got, we have got too many things happening. So that's covered, and then we forget about knowledge get covered. And the last point which I realized about Prabhupada writing about clarity, which came to my mind, the Brahman, how the Brahman word can be used for both. Yeah, I'll quickly read this. This is also confirmed by Lord Chaitanya in his teaching. Therefore, the description of Brahman mentioned in this verse is in relation to the individual soul. And when the word Brahman is applied to the living entity. So this question has come. Brahman means probably, Brahman has got many meanings. No, we have discussed this also. So this is basically revision where now Krishna started giving out more information to Arjuna's question. And I'm very, means if Arjuna would not have asked this question, we would not have get this Bhagavad Gita. That's my understanding. And similarly, his grandson Parikshit Maharaj would not have asked those questions. We would not have got Bhagavatam. That's my relation, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for your nice realizations, as always. Nyayam yattat pravakshyami yajñatvam tam ashnute anadimat param brahma na satta na saduchyate. So we are on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, text 13, verse 13. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. This is beginningless and it is subordinate to me. It is called Brahman, the spirit, and it lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So, Lord Krishna is explaining the field of activities and the knower of the field, and in the process, as mentioned, the process of knowing the knower of the field of activities. And now he's explaining the knowable, both the soul and the super soul, respectively. So in this particular case where Lord Krishna is describing the Brahman, it relates to the spirit soul and not the super soul, because it's subordinate to Lord Krishna. And it was very interesting in the purport that Srila Prabhupada mentions that that the knower of the body is never born and never dies, and is full of knowledge. And then no one can trace the history of the Jivatma's manifestation from the Supreme Lord. So there is no specific date at which the Jiva was born. So I found this interesting in the sense that there is always that question that, when is it that was the beginning of my journey, and where is it going to end? And then here the solution given is like in the previous chapters, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. In those chapters, in when the mention is given about the 19 or 20 item, where how the knower of the knowledge should be behaving, or the qualities. The most important quality Srila Prabhupada mentions is approaching the spiritual master in order to be able to realize that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So everything, if it does not culminate into understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and our purpose is to serve him, then everything else is pointless. And I was just thinking on this point that we all go through this janma mrityu jara vyadhi. We are in different stages of our life, and we are experiencing these things. The point that most struck me was that when we were born, at that point of time, we all were born, right? And at that point of time, we suffered a lot. But as soon as we've come out of the womb of our mother, then we have forgotten that suffering. At the moment, I don't think I remember what was the suffering. Only by reading in Srimad Bhagavatam, we know what was the suffering. When we leave this body, again at the time of death, there is going to be a lot of suffering. It is expected. And then again, we will forget. If we don't realize our purpose of life, again we'll forget, and we'll keep going on and on and on in this cycle of birth and death. So I felt that the point for me is that if I remind myself that this birth and death is so painful that you do not want to go through this again and again. And because I have forgotten, I won't have to remind myself. Then that might bring about some seriousness, because I have got this human form of life, and I want to have that determination. So then all my activities are doubted in such a manner that everything that I'm doing is favorable for my devotional service, and I'm packing my bags to go back home to Godhead. So I have to unpack a lot of other baggages. Every other baggage that is not allowing me to pack that bag to go back to Godhead, I have to unpack, empty it. But that is going to be a very hard process. So Srila Prabhupada always says to us that practical is you focus on Krishna. Do not focus on what you should not be doing. That automatically will come. And we all have experienced that too. certain extent. So I also remember this Savai Pumsam Paradharma Yato Bhakti Adakshajaya. I took that verse, and then also that so every step is very important to have unmotivated and uninterrupted devotional service. And then everything else, if it is not beneficial for my spiritual progress, then it's Shrama eva hi kevalam. So that always is the reminder, or when I'm doing any activity, even that activity might be just thinking activity. It might not be necessarily action. And yeah, I feel that when I'm reading the verses in this chapter, it's giving me the thought of increasing my determination and not missing the opportunity and not missing the point. This is what is coming loud and clear from Srila Prabhupada and from the purports, that you might miss the point. You might think everything is so smooth. I'm doing my chanting, I'm doing my deity worship, I'm doing my Bhagavatam reading. Everything is fine. I'm being Krishna conscious and I'm going to go back to Godhead. But I just realized that yes, that is correct, but don't be complacent and don't take it so easy. You have to step up. When I'm just reading the purpose, like getting that punch from Srila Prabhupada in the way the purports are. Mm. Srila Prabhupada also mentions about how we can conduct ourselves. So why we should not be disturbed by the so-called bodily pains, and just accepting and acknowledging that since we have taken material like birth, and since we have a body, what is the way in which you can be you can, I don't know what word to use, equipoised in both your distress or happiness. So not being very happy because you're happy because of certain bodily pleasures, or not being. So that was another like practical way how we can implement it, because many times for myself I feel like I read it, and when it comes to implementation it may not actually be so easy, and you get easily distressed or happy. And so every time reminding ourselves that we are not the body, we are the spirit soul, and this is the pleasure and distress is temporary, related to the body, unless and until it is connected to Krishna conscious activities. Everything else kind of not give importance to. And in that way, that we can train ourselves, our mind, and then also it pleases Lord Krishna, because Krishna has mentioned all the different qualities of what kind of behavior a devotee should exhibit. So I was thinking that it achieves both the purposes for us to be in the right consciousness, and then also the behavior then helps us to get to a point where Lord Krishna is placed with us. So, yeah, for me personally, I feel this this chapter 13 is definitely, it's just not just knowledge, it is just absolutely great knowledge, which in where how we should behave practically is also given, so that we can then achieve our ultimate goal of going back to Godhead, going back to Krishna. And also how what is the process of understanding Krishna, and in that then understanding your own self, and where what is your position, and differentiating yourself from the other 8 million species of life. So not having the animalistic tendencies, and reminding yourself that this is a very valuable birth. Just getting human birth is also very, very valuable birth, and make the most of it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Can you hear me? Hare Krishna.
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, His Grace Amrish Prabhuji, Hare Grace Prantaga Mataji, and His Grace Krishna Samarpan Krishna Prabhu for training us and encouraging us to study these Bhagavad Gita verses and share our practical realizations. Thank you, His Grace Swapan Prabhuji, Avinash Prabhuji, and Prantaga Mataji for your nice realizations on this verse. Neyam yattat pravakshami yajnatva amritam ashnute anadimat param brahma na sattan nashad uchate. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So, so far, Lord Krishna actually explained this point, actually the Kshetra and Kshetra, the field of activities and the knower of the field of the activities, and actually the process of obtaining the knowledge. And now he's talking about the object of the knowledge. So, here, as Srila Prabhupada is saying, that actually, just looking at the translation, that I shall now explain knowable, the knowing which you will taste the nectar, so that it taste the eternal. It begins to explain the knowable, the first the soul and then the super soul. So the soul and super soul. So when I first actually started the point, I realized that the instructions actually given in this verse and the Srila Prabhupada actually very nice. It's talking about the soul, the Atma. It's talking about the super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, and the relationship between the Atma and the super soul is eternal servitor. So this knowledge or information is comes to this platform, start attending classes or actually start to actually inquire. Then these are the first point. Actually, he's been told that you are not this body, you are a spirit soul, and there is actually supreme Lord. And we are the actually eternal servant. And our only business is to serve Krishna. So I remember this point that actually yes, this is just information, and there's always point being made that actually yes, knowing the information and the realizing this knowledge are two different things. There is a gulf of difference to actually practically realize this instruction. So as Avinash Prabhu also pointed out that actually what is the context of the previous verse? So the process of acquiring knowledge, so same the humility, pridelessness, non-violence, the perception of birth, death, old age and disease, the freedom from actually familiar, material entanglement, living in a solitude, maintaining the equilibrium in the happiness and sorrows, all those 19 points. So those things Krishna declares that to be knowledge. So what I understood that one has to actually practically implement those instructions and acquire those qualities. And when one do that, then he's supposed to be called real knowledge. To be eligible to actually to understand what is the soul and the super soul. So Bhagavad Gita actually chapter 7 verse 19. Actually, I remember that verse while thinking about this. That where it says that Bahunam Janmnam Ante Jnanvan Mam Prapadate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sahamatma Sudurlabha. So it is stated that it takes maybe thousands or millions of births to get to the point or get to this point of actually one become in actually real knowledge. So that is knowledge is explained in the previous verse. That is what I understood. And then he is ready to actually surrender. To actually supreme person. That actually he is the cause of all the causes. So it's very important that actually the previous verse, actually that 19 points, they are very, very important because I always actually, thought about this point that actually we know actually we are the spirit soul and Krishna is the supreme and we are eternal servitor, but we always practically fail to implement this, constantly. Unconsciously, we always actually, I always talk on the body platform. And I remember this actually, Amrish Prabhu shared this actually, realization about Guru Maharaj. That Guru Maharaj was once asked, how are you? How are you feeling? And Maharaj replied, I am good, but my body is suffering. So actually, you can see, actually means maybe the person who do not have any background about Krishna consciousness, may not understand this point, but one who has actually been trained, they can see through, what that actually person is talking about. So the one who is actually, the pure devotee, or one who has actually all these actually qualities listed in previous verse is actually practically implemented, then they can clearly differentiate that they can clearly realize that we are different from this body. So Maharaj is saying that yes, my body is suffering, I'm all right. But when I am in actually difficulty, I always say I got a headache, I got a pain, this and that. So always I'm identifying with the body. I never think that, oh, this body is actually different. I shouldn't actually give undue importance. So that actually what I realized that actually unless those actually points are implemented, actually I cannot come to this point of understanding what actually the spirit soul is and what is the super soul and how it is actually the eternal servitor. Actually, this has been forced, not forced, actually this has been trained, this information is bombarded that yes, we are like that and our only business is to serve. So we're trying to do that. But unless we realize actually we will not actually, what is said here, taste the eternity. So actually Srila Prabhupada, actually in one of his lecture, he mentioned that if you truly believe you are not this body, then where is the question of actually sense gratification? Which is actually very important point, actually I thought about that point a lot. Yes, if I really believe I'm a spirit soul, then where this question of actually sense gratification come? So there should not be, actually material senses or material sense enjoyment at all. If you think we are a spirit soul, because spirit soul, as it says, Jibere Swarup, Hitere Krishna Das, that he actually is an eternal servant, he's always engaged in serving the Supreme Lord, as we see from actually there are many great examples of pure devotees. Even we actually talked recently about Lord Balram, that he's always engaged in serving the Lord in thousands or millions ways. He's always serving. The service attitude. So this is the same actually service attitude that is present in the spirit soul as well. But one has to realize that. The second point where it says that actually that the point of actually beginningless, where it says that actually there is no specific date at which the Jiva was born, nor can anyone trace out the history of a Jivatma's manifestation from the Supreme Lord. So therefore it is beginningless. So we studied this in chapter 2 as well, that the spirit soul, actually he's a part and parcel of actually the Supreme Lord. As it is confirmed by Krishna himself, that Mamay Vamsho Jivaloke Jiva Bhutasanatani. So he's actually the Amsh, it's a very minute fraction of a Supreme Lord. So this is actually more of a question to me. Even at that point, actually, I asked this point, if you are actually part and parcel, then at some point, we are actually separated from the Supreme Lord at some point. So that actually question was, the explanation given was never really actually understood by me, how that can be. So Srila Prabhupada is saying here that we cannot trace back, cannot trace back to the point where we can realize that actually all these Jivatmas are actually born out of actually Krishna or separated from Krishna. So yes, maybe that is actually point that we cannot trace back, So that is why it is called beginningless, or they may be eternally actually separated from Krishna. So this is more of a question to me. Actually, I do not really still understand this point. How come that actually we don't have any beginning? If you actually call the part of Krishna, or part and parcel of Krishna. So these are the actually main actually points that I realized from this actually verse. Yes, thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for your wonderful realizations. Most of the points are covered by you, all of you, very nicely. Just few pointers which I feel were very important for me. So here, in the translation where it is mentioned, Krishna is saying that I shall now explain the knowable. So the previous verse was knowledge. What is knowledge? Now this verse onwards is a knowable. Knowledge of what? Everything else, all that knowledge is to achieve this point, knowable. I shall now explain knowable, knowing which you will taste eternal. So this is where what will we receive? What is knowable? We will understand eternality. This is the first point. Now, moment, why is it mentioned here? It is eternal. Anadi, the beginningless. It is because all the material problems that we face is because we forget that we are eternal. Even the problems that we face are material, which are temporary. As they say, that like sun rises, sun sets, problems come, problems go. Everything relating to the body that we have, the three modes of material nature thing makes us think that we are his body, is because of the absence of eternality. The moment we are firm in our eternality, then even the three modes of material nature affecting us will become superficial to that. This is the reason why Paramatma sitting in the heart, it'll be coming now in the next couple of verses, from the next verse onwards, for the information, that Paramatma in the heart sees, witnesses everything, but is not influenced by the modes of material nature, although is within the mode of material nature. Whereas we also are eternal, we are also within the modes of material nature, but we are influenced because of the body. We are attached to the body. The moment we are born, the soul is confined to the body. There are ways in which the severity, the confinement can be severed. One is the time of death, when the body is useless. And second is there are certain yogic principles which can be followed. But at the same time, you cannot remain out of the body for long. You have to come back to the body, inside the body. This is very important to understand. Unless and until we are severed, the relationship is severed, we will not be able to go out of the body permanently. So the permanency or eternality is the most important information and the knowledge that we can get, can realize, and we can be happy. And the whole of material world, Maya, the three illusory energies, three modes of material nature and the illusory energy, that makes us forget this. Don't think we can fight it. Or maybe for somebody else, but I'll remember it. No, we don't remember. If you remember, why we're forgetting then? This is a fact. So this is the first point. That I shall now explain to you the knowable. So what happens after you knowable? You understand eternal. Then the second point is a very important point. So Brahman, the spirit beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Then the second point been explained here. Mat Param Brahma. Anadi till Anadi. Anadi means beginningless. Mat Param Brahma. So my, Mat means mine. Subordinate. Brahma means spirit. So Brahma can be defined as supreme spirit and partial spirit. Both are Brahma. And this is still part of the Vedanta philosophy. See, we cannot go away from the Vedanta. We discussed about the Vedanta philosophy about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in our Sunday program. Please don't forget this. Refer to that. We are still continuing with this point. And it will continue throughout. And that's why it is said that we are also Vedanta followers. Bhagavad Gita is full of Vedanta only. Knowledge, Veda, Anta of Veda. Veda is sarve ahamava vedyo. So do not see it as separate from Vedanta. And that is the reason why towards the end, in the last, Prabhupada mentions this, that the word Brahman is applied to the living entity. It is to be understood that he is Vijnana Brahma, as opposed to Ananda Brahma. Ananda Brahma, blissful Brahma, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a super soul. Vijnana Brahma means knowledge Brahma. One has to acquire this knowledge. the many definitions of Vijnana Brahma by different philosophers. Impersonalists also have the definition of Vijnana Brahma to say he is the Param Brahma. But our philosophy is to say Vijnana Brahma is the spirit soul. So this is a very, before this verse is a verse talking about knowledge. From here, everything changes. And from next verse onwards, Krishna talks only about the super soul. So this is a Sandhi verse, according to me, my limited capacity by the extreme college mercy of Guru Maharaj. So the application of that knowledge here is given. And we have to spend time in understanding why is it mentioned here that Anadi Mat Param Brahma Nasatan Nasad Uchyate. And why this Brahma is mentioned as not the Brahman, not as the super soul, but as a spirit soul. Yet Mat Param is given there. Says, I am superior to this. But knowledge is not about him. It is inferred in this verse that knowledge is not about the Vijnana Brahma. But it's subordinate to me. So knowledge is about the me, which is the Ananda Brahma, which will be discussed from next verse onwards. So please spend the time. Otherwise, we will remain superficial in our knowledge. We have to hold the point. Otherwise, 50% knowledge we may get. And there is a reason why this philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. Yes, you require discussion with other devotees, that is correct. It requires a lot of contemplation. A lot of contemplation is required. Because this becomes the foundation of the Bhagavatam. Only then we'll understand that how come that Krishna is dancing always happy. Krishna is never sad, you never see him sad. Neither we see Balaram being sad. Because he's Krishna himself. You see, Lord Balaram, when even in Kaliya encircled the serpent, encircled baby Krishna, and held him for a long time, everybody was afraid, fainted. Mother Yashoda fainted seeing this, couldn't bear it. So did Nanda Maharaj, completely fainted, couldn't bear it. Only Balaram was satisfied. That's okay, don't worry about it. He'll come out of it. He'll be all right. He was the only one who was not distressed. But everybody distressed. And before they came, as we have discussed, if you remember that point, that they searched out the walking paths of Krishna. And the whole village came looking for him, the walking path of Krishna. So before they came, when Kaliya and Krishna fought with Kaliya, jumped into Kaliya on Kaliya, the cows and the calves and the deers who were watching this, before all of them came, they saw it and they fainted, seeing this situation of Krishna. So this becomes otherwise it's a story. And some nice story, a very nice story. It's like a movie going on, no? Which is correct. So our main function is the foundation of our knowledge. So this is a point we take a pause. And this word is a pause. And it changes from what is knowledge to what is knowable. And what is knowable is defined, is given here as an inference, saying Anadi Mat Param Brahma. This line. See, Gneyam Yat Sat Pravakshyami. Gneyam means knowledge. That which I shall now explain. Yat Gnatva Amrutam Ashnute. It's knowing which, it's like a nectar. Amrutam. One tastes that nectar. What is that about? Anadi Mat Param Brahma. Anadi means beginningless. Mat param. Mat means my. Param means subordinate. Brahma is that spirit. Nasatan nasat uchate. Say neither cause that nor effect is said to be. Makes sense? Because it lies beyond the cause and effect. So if you don't understanding carefully, we'll see is okay, the spirit soul is beyond subordinate, beyond the cause and effect. Subordinate to me. So it's talking about the spirit soul. No. It's talking about the super soul. Yes, spirit soul is also beginningless, full knowable, also. But it is that change that is this verse. Because next verse onwards immediately starts about the super soul. So spend that time a little. This is how exactly the whole tone changes. The whole discussion changes with Arjuna and Krishna. So the spirit soul is also beginningless, is also beyond the cause and effect. But the reference here is subordinate to me, Mat Param Brahma. That Mat Param Brahma is talking about a super soul. Because here the subject matter is that, not the spirit soul. Okay. I just thought I'll keep this one point. It was very interesting for me, very important for me rather. And I spent some time to understand this, So I hope I've not it's conveyed properly. If anyone wants to say anything, please feel free. Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri
Jai.
Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Gurudev ki jai. What towards synonyms, translation and purport by Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.